Good morning. Thank you again for letting me be here. I was here a couple years ago, just before twice. Had the walk. Before that, I came and gave you an update, and then I was here for the walk too, along with my partner, Ricky McWhorter. And there were lots of people here, and I want to update you a little bit about what we've accomplished since then. Back in 2006, our computer crashed, and we did not have everything online, and that like we do today. Everything's in the cloud somewhere, and so our records are there. But we have records of the Flat River congregation from January 30th, 2006. So I know you were helping before that, but I don't know how long before that. I'm sure you probably have it in your records. You could check if you wanted to go back in the checkbook and see that. But this congregation has been helping for a long time, helping us to drill water wells and bless the people in Ghana. And I wanted you to know that we have records going back to January 30th and 2006. The work itself started 32 years ago. We started drilling water wells. This is the first water well we drilled in a village called Wenchiki 32 years ago. And the water well is still, we actually drilled 3 in this village, and they're still working and still providing water for the people. And when you think about a gift like a water well, it's like those of you who don't live in the city proper and you're outside the city and you have a well itself. The well will last forever, as long as you don't have a drought, and as long as nothing happens to the pump or something, you're going to get fresh water from that, and it's going to continue. That's the way it is there too. And this is, in fact, this is the 3rd generation of people who have been getting water from that well. When we first drilled the well, these children's parents were the age of these children, and their parents were using the well, and now the grandchildren are using the well and getting fresh water from it. So a gift that we give to help drill a water well, it lasts and lasts and lasts. There's a song, and for the life of me, the guy's name just went out of my head. But it's a song about, the title is Just Trying to Leave Something Behind. And that's what we do. As brethren, as members of the church, we try to leave something behind. We're all going to die, unless Jesus comes back again before we do, but we're all going to die. And we want to leave something behind. Especially, we want to leave behind the truth about Jesus Christ, so that the kingdom continues to spread and continues to grow. And one of the ways we do that is by drilling water wells. And as people drink from that well, they remember. We were there on the 30th year. That was 2 years ago. We went back to the village of Wenchiki, and they had a big celebration. The whole village showed up, and there was recollections by the chief and a number of people from the village. They sang, and then they also danced, and they did some of the dances were stories. They tell stories in their dances, and that's what they were doing. And they were trying to encourage us and let us know how thankful they were for that water that they'd been getting for the last 30 years, and now 32. And this is why we drill water wells. When you look at the water that these two girls and these other people are getting, you recognize it's not nice. It's awful. And some of you probably live on a farm or something. You have a cattle pond out there. The cattle get in that pond. Well, you wouldn't even think about drinking that water, because when the cattle get in there, they don't just drink. They also deposit. And that's the way it is with these ponds. They have cattle, and the wild animals come to drink as well, and they also deposit. And here are these people fetching water from that kind of a source and drinking it. If we drank it, we would die. It would just kill us, because our bodies aren't used to it at all. They grow up with it, and they get used to it. They're sick all the time, and some of them die, especially the children. The second greatest killer of children in the developing world is from bad water. Number one is malaria. The second is bad water. And the third is war. All of which we can do something about. When you think of Jesus himself, Jesus went to a wedding feast. He went to Matthew's party. He fed 5,000. He gave blind Bartimaeus his eyesight. He healed the lepers. He did a number of other things. John says that if we wrote down everything that Jesus did, well, the world couldn't even contain the books. It'd just be too much to say. But he did all of these things. And you look at Jesus, and who is he? What is he? And we say, well, he was the Son of God. That's true. But he was one of us. And he came here to show us what true humanity is. He came here to be one of us, and God was saying, I want to be with you. I came here to be with you. I wanted to show you something. And Jesus came and he showed us what the Father was really like. And he did all of these things. And not only did he do these things, but on the night before he was crucified, he went into an upper room. He was with a number of his disciples, and as they sat around, they'd been arguing one with another, and they were trying to decide who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom. And Jesus gets up, takes off his clothes, puts a towel around his waist, takes a pan of water, and he calls them one by one, and he washes their feet. That wasn't just somebody washing their feet. That was God. God's washing their feet. And when you think about that, God's saying, I'm not above this. This is what true humanity is. We serve one another. So when we think, what are we here for? The Flat River Church, I know you do these things. When we look at people and we hand them something, it's not just a handout. We're trying to encourage them and empower them to make them stronger and help them along their way. We give education. We energize people. And here are things that you do. You provide food when a member or a neighbor is sick. You do that, right? Of course. And you visit those who are in the hospital. You pray for each other. You help drill water wells in Ghana. And you help with other missions. Think of all of the things that you do. And you're not doing them. You don't rush in and say, hey, look what I done. No, you don't do like that. You do them, and probably most of the people here don't know what you're doing. Your next door neighbor, maybe her husband comes home one day, packs up all of his things, gets in the car, and he's gone, and she's left there with 3 kids and no groceries and no money, and you You go and buy her some groceries, and you sit down with her, and you have a cup of coffee, and you chat with her, and you try and encourage her, and you never tell anybody. Or maybe you say, this lady really needs help. Could we do something for her? And you get together and do something for her. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's how we ought to act. That's the story that Jesus came to tell us. And those are the things I know this congregation does. The king will answer and say to them, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. And when we think about that, whatever we do to even the weakest, to even the poorest, to even the less educated, to even those who can't read or write, to even those who live in a mud hut and a grass roof and the dirt floor, when we do it to them, we've done it for Jesus. We're doing it for the Lord. That's what's so important. Here's water from the Flat River Church of Christ. Just think of it. This water well, it's right there. This young girl, she's the first one to drink from this water well. We're having a dedication ceremony there, and she's getting the first fresh, clean water. Actually, the first drink tastes pretty awful because we use, PVC pipe, and you have to glue it together. And it's very strong. It takes about a week of them pumping day after day after day for that taste to go away. So she's really a guinea pig. It's not really good for her. But it's a great celebration, and they never complain. Except we did have one old man. He came up to us one day after we drilled the well, and he'd been drinking for it for a while, and we'd gone back there to preach. We wanted to establish the church. We try not to establish the church before we drill a water well, because we don't want people to be converted to the water well and think, if we all join their church, then they'll come and drill us a water well. So we try not to go there until after we've drilled a water well. And then when people are converted, they'll be converted to Christ, not to water. So we went back to his village, and he came up to us after we were all finished preaching and teaching. He came up to us and he says, your water has no taste. And he was right. It didn't have any taste. And that's the way we like it. And here are the ladies. They're gathering the water and carrying it. And it used to be, in that particular village, it used to be they were walking about 6 miles one way to fetch the water. And you think you have that bucket on your head. That bucket holds about 8 gallons of water. It's about 64 pounds of water they're carrying on their head. And once they get it up there, they don't set it down until they get home, because it's too hard to get it up there. So they get it up and they walk the whole way with that on their heads. Imagine how strong their necks are from doing this. From the time they're little kids, they start carrying water or carrying things on their head, and they learn to balance it. And a lot of times they don't even use their hands. I mean, once it's up there, they just walk and it's balanced on there. I saw a lady once, and she wasn't young. She was carrying a log on her head that I could not pick up. It was amazing. Just amazing how strong their necks and backs are. This was the only artesian well we ever drilled in Ghana. This we did last year. And they were drilling, and all of a sudden, when we drill, we have the drill pipe going down, and it spins around, and there's a hammer on the end of it, and it pounds and breaks up the rock, and we have air blowing in there that blows the debris out of the hole. And then when you hit water, of course it blows the water out of the well. we hit this water, and there was lots of it, and of course it blows up into the sky, and everybody, the whole village is standing around watching this. We keep them at a safe distance because the drill rods are like 20 feet long, and so we have to keep them beyond that, so in case one of them falls off or something. And we have had that happen. They fall off the truck, and we just make sure that people are back far enough they don't get hurt. But when the water blows way up in the air and it hits the top of the mast where there's a big drilling head there, it just blows everywhere. And of course, it makes a loud noise when you hit the water, and it blasts out of there, and it spreads out, and everybody takes off running. And then they realize, oh, this is water. And they come back and they start to sing and dance and shout and clap their hands. They're so excited, especially if it's right in their village and they've been walking for miles and they know they're going to get water right there. It's so exciting to watch that. That's that artesian well. We put a cap over it and just put 4 holes in it so they could just bring their buckets and set the buckets underneath. And of course, it really made it easy for this village because they don't even have to pump. They just come, stick that under there. And before, I don't know if I can get back to it there. This little girl, that little girl right there that you see, she was the one who was assigned to get the water for almost the whole village. They had a hole in the village that they had dug. The hole was very deep, and you know, it starts out big. As the rain season comes to an end, they have water, surface water, and then as the water starts to dry up, they have to dig the hole deeper, still get the water deeper and deeper, and as they dig it deeper, they don't dig it the same width. It gets smaller and smaller, and finally they have to have somebody really little to get in there. Well, this little girl was in there day after day after day, all day long. And she had a calabash. It's like it's a little bowl. It's a round gourd, and it grows on a tree, and they'll cut it in half, scoop the insides out, let it dry, and it becomes a bowl. And she would get down in there, and she would get the water and put it in a bucket, and then another girl would stand above her and lift that bucket up, and then another one would stand above her and lift that bucket up. And that's what they did day after day after day. She didn't go to school. She fetched water day after day after day. That was her job, all during the dry season. And she wasn't able to go to school. Got that water well, and if you noticed, she was wearing school clothes. They all wear uniforms there. They all have the same uniform. But she was wearing a school uniform. She got to go to school for the first time in her life. She's like 9 years old, never able to go to school. And now she can. So the blessing of water goes a lot farther than just giving them something to drink, helping their health. It helps them with her education, blesses them in so many other ways. The mothers don't have to, and the young girls don't have to walk for miles to get water. They get it right there in the village. We drilled I may have told you this story before because this is about 4 years old. We drilled a water well in a village. It was back about 25 miles out off of a main road, and so we had to really get back there. It's hard to get back there. And we drilled the well, and we put a solar pump in there and put some solar panels on, put a tank up, and then we built a wall in the village. This is about a half mile from the village, and we built a wall in the village. The wall's about this high. It's just a concrete wall about this wide, and it was about 15 feet long. And in that wall we had a pipe, and there were faucets coming off of that pipe. So they had about 10 faucets coming off that, and when the water from the tank would come down the hill, it was on a hill, and it'd come down that half mile and go in there, and then they'd just come and turn the tap on, fill up their buckets, and get their fresh water. Well, we had a dedication ceremony one Sunday afternoon. We had a dedication ceremony, and but the thing wasn't completely hooked up. When we concluded the ceremony for the new water well, our director over there, Nathaniel Adams, Sr., he told the village, now, and the village likes to have a part in the work, of course, and we make them have a part. They have to build a road, or clear a road so we can get in there. They have to buy 2 bags of cement. They have to put the well on a communal piece of property. It can't belong to somebody, and a few things like that. We make them set up a committee who will make sure that the well is operational and it's kept clean and that people aren't abusing it, etc. Well, this particular well, Nathaniel said to them, in order for us to complete this well, you have to dig a trench about a foot wide and 18 to 20 inches deep. And when you finish that, then you call us and we'll come and lay the pipe in there and cover that whole that trench back up and hook up your water. This was Sunday afternoon. Monday about 11 o'clock. It's funny, you know, they have cell phones now. They're way out in the village, and Monday, the next day, about 11 o'clock in the morning, we're having a meeting, and they call us, say, come lay that pipe. And we never did ask, but I know the women said to the men, if you ever want to eat again, you dig that. They worked all night long, because this is a half a mile. I mean, that's a long way to dig by hand. They didn't have any equipment except they have a hoe. Their hoe is about this long, has a blade on it like that, and then they had some homemade shovels that had handles on it about this long. That, and we left them a pickaxe. That was it. They did that, and they got it done overnight. And we went, put the pipe in, hooked it up, and they were happy. And you just think how important water is. Just so important. These people were so happy. Well, that little girl was happy when she got it too. Here they are. They've already got water in this well, and they're blowing air down in it, and they take these buckets and time it, how long it takes to fill that up, and that's how many gallons per minute that you actually get. And you can see a lot of water in that well. It's an exciting thing. If you have any questions while I'm rambling on, just shout them out. And then, of course, they celebrate. They love to celebrate, and having fresh, clean water is a way to celebrate. See these ladies that are on their knees there with all these things in their headpans? They're single. They don't have a husband yet, and they put everything they own in the headpans, and they get on their knees and they're dancing and they're showing the men, you see, I am very wealthy, and so you should marry me. They're looking for a man. And most of the other dancers they're all men, and they all dress up. They get whatever they can get to brighten up their dances, and they dance and celebrate and drum and just demonstrate how thankful they are that they have fresh, clean water. Hey, I know these people. You see, you had a big crowd, and this wasn't everybody. There were still some people that were sitting back behind us, just too shy, I guess. But this was 2 years ago, and the congregation here worked really hard. Well, Tom and Debbie worked really hard to get everything set up, and then as we started walking, let's see, well, there's the nations. I just wanted to say thank you to them personally, because they did work hard. And Tom got a big article in the local paper, and it was really nice. And a lot of you came, and even those who couldn't walk, because we walked, a couple miles, something like that. And even those who could not walk came and sat and encouraged everybody else. So it was really a nice day. And here were a couple of the girls. I don't know who these girls were. I know they were there. And what we did was took the bucket, filled it up with water, and then carried it just to get the idea and demonstrate this is what people have to do every single day. And these girls were carrying it together and helping with the load, when actually, if they'd been in Africa, they'd be carrying it by themselves on their head. Be really interesting. Here were some of the supporters. It was a nice day, and plus it was a good day too. Early in the spring. Here's the best bucketful. I didn't even know whose kid this was, but they put him in the bucket and he was a happy camper. It was a fun day. For those of you who think it's, oh yeah, we just got together and we did a walk, it's really important for two reasons that we get together and do things like that. It's the getting together that is the real blessing, because we know that collectively we can do so much, and individually maybe not so much. You know, the boy with the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he was going to eat lunch. That's all he was going to do. But he gave what he had, and what he had was able to multiply in the hands of Jesus and become greater and greater and greater. And when they got all done, they had 12 baskets full left over. How amazing is that? And we think, well, yeah, that was then. It's not now. It is now. God does the same thing working through us. He takes the little that we have, puts it together, and it becomes something great. We never had enough money to drill water wells. We just didn't have the money. But we have the money. We work together, and everybody puts in the little bit that they can do, and when we do that, and we encourage each other in it, and we gather together for a walk or something like that, and we put our nickels and dimes and dollars in the box, and we say, we just want to help somebody have water, and we do it collectively, and then when we do it, we can all be encouraged by it, and strengthened by it, because we've done something to honor and glorify God and to help our fellow man, to make life different and better for them. So far we drilled over 1,200 water wells, and we refurbished 6,500. There were a number of wells that were drilled back in the early 80s. The Germans were searching for minerals, and they had a contract with the government of Ghana to take core samples. I don't know how they do all of that, but they drill down and they take core samples and decide if there's any mineral value in the ground there. And if there is, of course, then they're going to make another contract with the Ghana government. They're going to make money off of it. So that's why they were doing it. Well, they drilled let me back up. The Ghana government says, okay, you can do that, but every time you hit water, you put a hand pump on it, and the people will have water from it. Well, they did that, but they never gave it to the people. They never involved the people. They just went and took a core sample. If they hit water, they put a pump on it, and they moved on, and never even spoke to the natives around there. So even though the people used the pump, they never felt it was theirs. So they never felt a part of it. And so when it would break down, they didn't know what to do. So we had an opportunity to go in and repair a number of pumps and a number of hand-dug wells that at one time had a wall around them, but and some of them did, some of them didn't. But the walls broken down, and every time it would rain, of course all the garbage around and everything would flow right into the well, and people would fetch that water, and it's just as nasty as any other water. So we'd go in those villages where we did hand dugs, we'd go in, build a wall around it, cover it, clean it all out, get all the garbage out of it, and then we'd clean the well itself with bleach. We put chlorine in it and clean the well, and after about a week it was good for them to drink again. And we build the wall, put the cover on it, and then put a hand pump on it, and they would actually fetch that, and because it's covered, they wouldn't get any debris or garbage in the well anymore. We did 6,500 hand pumps and wells like that. 2.5 million people been helped to fresh, clean water. Over 1,000 congregations established. We've baptized more than 50,000 people into Christ, and there are still hundreds of villages that need clean water to drink. And so just encourage that the Flat River Church wants to do another walk and see if we can't raise another water well. Help somebody. Yes?
The fact that first well that you drilled 32 years ago is still providing clean water is a very encouraging people to keep supporting this program. The water table is sufficient to support it in that country. And that is so fantastic to me.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it.
Yeah, it is. When you think this is the gift that keeps on giving. It's not like you give it once and you know, you bought them some food and they eat it up and it's gone.
Water is there. You need the help to get it to them.
Yep, it's there. This year, our goal for this year is 75 wet wells. Of course, they cost $7,300 a piece, and that's the total, $547,500, what we're looking to raise. The Flat River Church has helped drill more than one. You've drilled more than one over the years, because as I started out, you've been giving at least since 2006, but I know you've been giving since before then. And you have really helped a lot of people. And we put a well on, we try and put a well on for about 350 people. So when you start adding that up, lots of people get water. And so we praise the Lord for your sacrifices and the blessings that you've given. God bless you. Thank you. Let's have a short prayer.